Hello and once again welcome to Student Survival Study Skills session. This clip is going to be about how you can make great summary notes and how much they can help you when it comes to doing your assignments. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also the dingy bell, which will let you know the next time a video is dropped. This clip is all about how you can make great summary notes and how much they can help you when it comes to doing your assignments. Right, let's start off with what is a summary. Okay, a summary, it's a brief report on the general idea of a piece. It's a kind of all-round understanding, sort of a synopsis or a brief overview of the whole piece or just the one point. Essentially, it's a shorter version without all the glitz or the in-depth explanations. Why should we summarize? Okay, a summary will give you an overall idea and hypothesis of the authors that you've read and whose research you're going to use to validate your claim. When should you write a summary? Okay, well, obviously the perfect time is when you're in class. This is massively important because most of the time we don't have a video to rely on and go back to, and honestly, you don't want to waste your time rewatching the same lecture that you've had once when you could save time and take notes while you're there in class. If you can't do that, then do it as soon as possible after the class. Okay, so once class is finished, jot down your notes, or after you've read, or even better, while you're reading a piece. Do this paragraph by paragraph, and the reason that you should do it at that moment or as soon as is possible afterwards is so that the idea is still fresh in your mind and you won't forget anything important. It's all well and good removing notes that you don't need after the fact, but forgetting those that you might want to need means they're gone forever. And my favourite expression is from True Romance. It's a Quentin Tarantino film, by the way. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. And I think that's a great expression. How do summary notes help? Right, well, as you narrow down the scope of your essay or your assignment, you can check them over to make sure that you're still on the right track. They'll also help you isolate the ideas that are going to be most important to you and which you should take more interest in. They could also open your eyes to new ideas or other points of view. Alright, what exactly is summary writing? It is active reading and writing, and it helps you understand the subject better by paring it down to the bare bones. Summarised notes will help you draw the bigger picture when you come to write your essay. What I mean by active reading is taking note. It's not skimming or scanning, it's much more in depth than that. Okay, so you are looking for keywords essentially, but look at what's around those keywords and the key points. This is why you're making a summary. How do you make effective notes? Right, well, there are a couple of different ways depending on what you're doing, and it's perhaps a little obvious, but let's look anyway. As I've mentioned, while you're in class or reading or listening to someone, jot down the main points you hear. You don't have to write whole sentences, just enough to make it jog your memory when you look at them later. Or, if you're reading a piece, you can either highlight the important bits with a highlighter or make notes in the margin of the paper. Now, some people argue that writing in a library book is taboo. However, I disagree with that. I borrowed loads of friends' books when I was doing my bachelor's degree, and their notes helped me a lot. Imagine if library books could do the same. How much more info and how many more different points of view could you have if that was allowed? Now, I'm not saying that you should do it, but I wouldn't tell you off if you did. The questions you need to ask when you're reading a piece: what is the author's question? Okay, so what are they looking at? What are they exploring? What question are they going to answer, or what question are they answering? You should try to understand what the author's, the lecturer's or teacher's question is as fully as possible. What do you think the author was trying to prove, trying to understand, trying to resolve? What was their idea? What were the results of the research? How did they develop their argument? How did they test it? And how could that be useful to you? Right, here's an extra tip for you. This is a really, really good one, by the way. When you're reading a PDF and you find a bit that you like, highlight it, copy it, paste it into a new Word doc and call it to be paraphrased. Okay, that's the document, not the piece that you're going to do. What you need to do then is turn that copy red and make sure you put the correct citation after it. Once you've done that, insert page break and write references at the top of the next page. Okay, I'm going to go more in depth with that in the paraphrasing session than I'm going to do later, right? So don't worry about it for now. Just make sure that you watch the paraphrasing session. There are a number of reasons that you must do this. The first is that if you do this with every note you ever get from a PDF or a copyable document for that matter, you'll have a ton of practice writing your references and it will become second nature. The next reason is that the reference list is complete and you won't miss any of them off your final assignment. I've read a lot of assignments where the citation count doesn't equal the reference list or vice versa, and that means you lose points. Now, the reference list is one of the easiest places that you can gain points, and they could mean the difference between passing and failing, or a distinction or a high distinction. Finally, you can order it alphabetically as you go along, and this is going to save you a ton of time if you do it as you go along rather than leave it to the end and try and do it all at once. I've said before, submitting a sloppy reference list is unforgivable at university level. What I want you to do now is go to the link in the description and have a go at summarising the piece that I've written. That piece comes from an assignment that I did while I was doing my Masters in Education, and some of the questions that you need to ask, not necessarily all of them, but some of them. What do you think I was trying to prove or understand or resolve? What was my main idea there? What do you think the results were? How did I develop my argument? Did I test it? If so, how did I test it? How could this be useful to you? Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the dingy bell so that you don't miss any of the future video clips coming at you.